Good evening, everyone. This is Hashimoto's Awareness, and tonight we have a special guest, Rock Robbins. And just let me introduce Rock for those of you who don't know who he is in the world. He's an important person in the world, especially important things coming in his life, and he's going to share with us what's going on. But Rock is an author, a coach, a tech geek, and a saxophone-playing, karaoke-loving husband, and a father of two boys who I had the joy to meet last year. He's married to Stacey Robbins in 1989, and 7 years later, when she got the diagnosis, he was then married to Hashimoto. His tagline is, "I made the mistake, so you don't have to." His wife, Stacey Robbins, is the author of the award-winning book, You're Not Crazy and You're Not Alone, Losing the Victim, Finding Your Sense of Humor, and Learning to Love Yourself Through Hashimoto's. And she's also on the board of Hashimoto's Awareness. So after 27 years of marriage, he traveled with his wife and two boys, giving hope to men and women and couples on their Hashimoto's healing journey. And tonight we are very blessed to have Rock with us. And I remember a conversation about a year ago when Stacey said, Rock is writing a book about being married to Hashimoto's. And I remember my joy, because how important is that? Like, nobody ever talks about that, right, Rock? It's a subject that you don't see. Like, it is so important, and it's such a challenge for our spouses, for our family, and our children to live with, autoimmune disorder. And it's such a difficult thing to explain to others what we go through. And so for you to have written a book about it and sharing this tonight is very special.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
it was it's great to be here, guys, and thank you, Fabienne, for having me. But yes, just to speak to that point, you hear a lot of Hashimoto's from women, and decided, it's a good reason, because so many of them are affected more than men. And but you really don't hear kind of the guy's side of the story. And you're right, that was it. I was like, you know what? It would have been nice to have had something just so that guys who are just out there working it and doing their best can give them like a bit of a shortcut to what's going on and how to get to a better place, for your woman and for her health.
Yes, I think it's wonderful. And I personally think you all deserve a gold medal for being able to live with us. We can barely live with ourselves some days, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, I didn't get, and it kind of ties into my story. I didn't get how big a deal Hashimoto's was. I heard about it. Oh, Hashimoto's, okay, well, and me kind of being I want to say the typical guy, I heard about it. I'm like, okay, hon, because she is Miss, green smoothie, yoga loving, health person, active, and like, I think just from health wise, me being next to her, I'm just healthier because of the food that she's making, the things she's bringing into the house. Me, I left by my own devices, I'd probably be more of a kind of McDonald's husband, but I'm so thankful for what she does. But she was the driving force for health in our family. And so when this came around, I was like, okay, hon, well, you're the health person. I'm sure you're going to be great. Let me know the cliff notes and how I can help, But
yes.
So I was just working.
What was it like before the Hashimoto's diagnosis?
Oh, yes. Well, gosh, when all that happened, we were married. A little bit of history. We were married in 1989, and just really young kids. I was 21, and I think she was 20, and so we're like these young, musicians. I play saxophone and I sing, and Stacey is this wonderful singer and songwriter, super dynamic person. And so we met each other in school and started dating, and then not too long after, we started playing music and gigging together, doing music performances. And so it just was a lot of fun because we were traveling and staying up late and just, doing all the things that young married folks do and just having a blast. And so we'd be working hard, staying up late, and just life was just basically simple and fun. You didn't really have to worry about your health because you were indestructible, and we were focused on each other.
And when did you find out that Stacy had Hashimoto? Right.
So we found out it was about 7 years in. And it wasn't like the diagnosis fell out of the sky. It's like, boom, and you've got Hashimoto's, and this is exactly what to do. No, it just started with, wow, her skin's kind of feeling a little dry, and her hair, and she's feeling more tired, and her stomach's bothering her a little bit, kind of a little more anxious. It's kind of small things in the beginning that no one thinks, wow, I bet you have a really complicated autoimmune issue. You just were like, oh, okay, well, maybe you need, drink some more water, just relax. There was nothing. The symptoms of Hashimoto's in the early stages were just, a cold could have some of these symptoms. And so, we kind of bounced around for years just thinking it was just treating different symptoms. Oh, your stomach is bothering you. Here, take something for your stomach. Oh, you're feeling anxious. Well, here, okay. Try something for anxiety, or, oh, your skin's falling out. Your hair's falling out. Your skin is dry. Try some lotions. And so that's what it was kind of like. It really didn't go to an immediate diagnosis.
What made you want to write a book about your experience? Is there,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's kind of part of the story, because what happened was the next things were going on is, as these things progress, and Stacy's having a hard time, and now she's starting to gain weight like crazy, and she's just feeling awful, and she started like choking on food, and because her thyroid was working overtime. And what I ended up happening was, and this is where I'm not flattered about how I acted, but I had times where I just was like, oh, come on, hon, snap out of it. What's going on?
Yeah.
Why are you so anxious all the time? Man, it's like always something.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we both...
Yeah, because that's what we sound like. We sound like we complain all the time totally understand that. Mm-hmm.
So it was, and granted, she didn't know in the beginning, and so prior to that, it was just these symptoms. But I felt kind of put out, and, it was a bit of a jerk sometimes. It kind of took me a while before I got clued into the whole thing, and I felt like she was like a hypochondriac. It was always something, We couldn't go to the movies anymore because it was too stressful or too noisy, or we couldn't go out to have food because, she'd have to leave soon after because her stomach was so upset, or she just was exhausted and overwhelmed easily. And so, later on, as we're, she finally got a diagnosis. Things were getting gnarly. She was gaining weight like crazy. Like I think 1 year it was like 100 pounds. And so she's at her highest weight. And we finally went and saw a doctor. And we saw someone who was like, I got it. You're hypothyroid. And you're like, oh man, finally. And it's like, thank you. That's all this other stuff starts to make sense now. And this person at the time said, well, we're going to give you a pill, and you're going to take this. In about 3 months, you're going to be able to lose weight, and pretty much it's just going to be rainbows and moonbeams, and life's going to go back to normal. And we're like, yes. And so Stacy started doing that, and really, she started gaining more weight. And, the treatment that she had, it didn't end up working for her. And so it wasn't until, I think, after, what was it, a few years later that we found out that it wasn't just low thyroid, that it was actually Hashimoto's, an autoimmune issue. And then, like, you know, that was another level. You're going, oh man, I thought it was this, and mind you, all the while this is going on, you're trying to do life. You know, she was teaching music lessons, and you know, I'm working. I think I did some music lessons at the time, or we're playing gigs. And then I started doing some tech work as well, and she's just trying to like survive. She's feeling like, before all that, by the way, she was thinking that she was crazy. You know?
Yes.
Because,
like most of us, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope that there are people out there who get the version of Hashimoto's where you just take this pill and everything's easy. You know, because I know there are some out there, but that, from what I'm reading online, you know, there's a big group of folks who just, that's not their reality. And so it was just this gnarly, mind-bending experience. You know, I was giving her a hard time, and then I finally was like, oh, this is a real issue. Started looking into it some more. And so, to get back to answering your questions, you know, here we are years later, and, you know, some 20 years into this Hashimoto's diagnosis, I can look back and go, wow, man, I really wish someone had let me know, like, early on what the heck was going on, and that, you know, that doctors would be missing this diagnosis so easily, and that some of the standard treatments, you know, don't work for everybody. You know, it's like this one-size-fits-all thing, and that no one mentioned in the regular community, medical community, that there were even other treatment options. I mean, you know, and we haven't even talked about like foods and how they affect your body, and stress, and so that was really the reason why I wanted to put something together. It's like I put together this book, this list of things, like it's a handbook, and I was like, man, if I could go back in time and hand this to myself, I would cut years of frustration and pain and misunderstanding and sickness out of our lives. And really, that's where this came from, and that's why I'm excited to be getting this out here soon, probably in the next few days, as soon as I...
That's right. It's getting very close, like in a week, right? It's going to be available on Amazon, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. After Stacy got diagnosed and the treatment started, how long did it take for things to get back to normal, or did they ever get back to normal?
Right. Well, and that really is the question, you know. And of course, I have to preface this by saying it's the aggravating disclaimer. Everybody is different. Everybody, you know, you could have one person, it could be a relatively easy, you know, road back to where they kind of feel normal, maybe having energy and just not feeling, you know, wiped out all the time or sick into their stomach. Other folks, it's like it takes longer, and there can be levels of it. So, I mean, that was really our reality, because and I'm kind of speaking to husbands here, if anybody are on the line, you know, this is Hashimoto's is a pretty complicated disease, and kind of the short version of it is, you know, the thyroid hormones in your body, every cell in your body has a receptor for these thyroid hormones, and, you know, proper growth and regular function requires that. And so I did not realize how gnarly and ass-kicking kind of disease this was. So forgive the language there, but I had no idea. And so what you're going to get as far as the road back to normal is, it's kind of layers. It's like peeling back an onion. You know, yes, medicine can be part of it, right? You know, if you're having some type of thyroid supplement, that's part of it. But, you know, sometimes it can be, you know, and so Stacy, my wife tried that, and she got some benefit, but she found out that she was allergic to the medicine, and then she had to switch to another one, which is, it can be complicated and takes a while. And then you think, okay, well, we're getting a little bit better, and then you find out, wow, you're still not doing well. Now, how about we try some different foods? And you're removing some foods that could be causing a problem. Gluten is an obvious one. It's breads and pastas that can cause problems. And so that's my long way of saying the road back to normal can be a lot of different steps, because we're not just, a lot of the medicines that we take, it's not just like our life was great until we somehow missed this medicine, and now that we have this medicine, life goes back to normal, right? If you have that can be a part of it, but let's say if your life is really stressful, maybe there's a lot of anxiety and stress, between husbands and wives, which is very common as women are going through this. Their moods are going all over the place, and it's directly affected by, these hormones. You get that in line, and it's like, okay, wow, now we've got this portion, and now we're at a better place. But then, maybe you have some foods you have to deal with, or, you need to, I talked about stress, but not have so many things going on in your life. And so it's a long way of saying that it's more than just, the medicine. So how long? It's kind of as long as it takes, I'm sorry to say,
exactly.
For another aggravating answer.
It's different for everybody. You're right, and
yes.
And it has waves as well. And where you were supportive of your wife in this process?
Right. Well, where was I supportive? Well,
surfing the waves.
Yeah. Well, once I knew what was going on and how serious it was, that's when I started to turn. I was like, oh man, I've been like kind of a bit of a jerk, like more than a bit of a jerk to my wife. And I was not knowing, I was part of the stress because I was blaming her. I'd be like tempted to just go, come on, let's go out. Can't we go back to the way things used to be?
Yeah, it's affecting the whole family and everything.
Oh my gosh. I mean, your relationship's affected, your stomach and energy. If you've got kids, oh my God, that's another stress.
Yeah, your job.
It just affects everything.
And there's some people have lost everything they had.
Yes. I was really amazed at when I kind of did more research and got to see the different families, how many relationships actually don't make it because of the misunderstandings of what's going on. And it's heartbreaking because it can tear apart relationships, and, that affects, obviously your relationship, but, if you have kids or family around you. And had they known that... Would you say that
would you say that your book is a great guide to help navigating through these, waves?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of the reason why it's so helpful is because it is my story. It is where I share all the mistakes and the bumps that we went through, and the pros and cons of all the different,
That's great. Thank you so much for doing that, and showing your vulnerability, your life, and just pouring it out there for us, for people to be inspired.
Well, thank you. Well, and it's the stories that really, that's why I have the tagline on it, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. It's like I pretty much did everything wrong. But, I want to share the story, like I said, to shortcut folks, because it is difficult and for some folks. And, man, if there's hope that you can get through this, and you can work together as a team, as opposed to, against each other, that'll go a long way to helping.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yes. I love that. What were some of the ups and downs of living with Hashimoto's that you write in your book? Can you share a little bit with us?
Yes. Well, I mean, the ups and downs were, the emotions of my wife. That was a big kind of riding the roller coaster of that. Her levels are going up and down. Her moods were changing, and it just sucked sometimes. And I was not the most patient person always, but I put in my book where I kind of learned, once I understood what was going on, I learned, it's like, you know what, I'm going to let her have her reaction. She's got a bigger deal going on, and I can do my best to kind of hug a porcupine, while she's upset, and I'm going to go, it's okay, hon, hang in there. So those were like the ups and downs. What were some of the ups and downs? The treatments, going to many, many doctors and them not knowing what's going on. What else? Having to adjust to, my wife really can't do gluten. And I'm sorry, for foods, that's a big deal. You take out gluten, there's a comedian who says, what is gluten? It's in every food that makes life worth living. And so we had to adjust to that because it jacks her up. My son is also
and she's from an Italian family, so it's a big deal. Yeah.
You have to tell an Italian person, I'm sorry, you can't eat pasta or bread. It's like, are you kidding me?
I know. For me too. I'm from Belgium, and forget about it. Or croissant, I'm going to have to give up my croissant and forget about it.
I know. So, my goodness, that was a definite up and down.
Right.
And then I didn't even talk about what happens when you have family members who just don't get it. I mean, I love my family, but a lot of folks, they see with Hashimoto's, your woman, your wife, your girlfriend, your partner can look very much, normal. It'd be very different if she came in and had 2 broken legs and cast, and I bring her over Thanksgiving. It'd be like, oh my God, are you okay? Right. Here, have a seat. Let me get you something. But with Hashimoto's, it's like, an autoimmune disease. You can look, quote unquote, fine.
Yes, it's an invisible disease. I know. I go through that with my son. Even at Thanksgiving, when he came to visit, he's like, "Oh, Mom, you look fantastic." Meanwhile, I had one of the worst waves of Hashimoto flare.
No,
so,
over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right. So you don't, you can't tell. You're absolutely right. It's a challenge because people don't take you seriously. It's like, you're making this up.
Yeah, and that's the part that makes you feel crazy. I mean, and really that was part of I'll give a little plug to Stacy and her book, just because she wrote that down. Her book is You're Not Crazy and You're Not Alone, right? And you just go, oh my God, the women who have Hashimoto's go, yes, they read this and they kind of feel like, man, they feel validated, right? So it's the full title is You're Not Crazy and You're Not Alone, Losing the Victim, Finding Your Sense of Humor, and Learning to Love Yourself Through Hashimoto's. And so her book really kind of addresses the emotions about it. And when people don't understand, when your husband doesn't understand, and how, her loving herself, even if no one else understands, that's a big deal. You need to take, as a woman going through Hashimoto's, you need to take care of yourself. And it's kind of another level of Hashimoto's, and that women sometimes have issues with that. They like to take care of other folks, but they're hard on themselves. So that's another good resource there.
Yeah, it is a love story with ourselves. But what would you want to tell men or, all women, the spouses out there who has a wife or girlfriend or partner who has Hashimoto? What do you want to tell them?
Right. Well, I mean, and that's kind of, if I could summarize my top tips, I put these tips together, and I'll make them short and sweet. And I would tell them, you know what? Realize that even though she looks normal, she's not. Okay, this is a serious autoimmune issue, and
say that one more time. Can you say that one more time? It's really important. Yeah.
Well, I realize that though she looks normal, she's not. This is a serious autoimmune issue with some pretty intense physical and psychological ramifications if it's not treated properly. And, to just go, hey, get over to her on the couch and go, hey, snap out of it, really is not helpful. Okay? And that alone, this is actually a big deal, can shift things dramatically. That'll help her not feel like she's crazy. And then the tip number 2 is, we talked about it, not acting like this is all in her head. You know what? All of the symptoms that we talked about, the weight gain, joint pain, dry hair, anxiety, infections, fatigue. It's like, you know what? We wish it were as easy as something in our head, like, oh, I'm just feeling sad, and I'll get over it. No, you know what? This is the real deal. My tip number 3 was, I mentioned it. Don't be a jerk. When we talked about why, if you think it's not real, and you think she's just making it up, and you look fine, it's easy to get cop an attitude. And can I tell you guys, it really makes them feel like they're crazy and they are alone. It goes back to that quote of the book. And so tip number 4 was be a part of the team. It benefits, everyone, especially you as a husband or a partner of someone who has Hashimoto's. All the energy that I had of kind of judging her and making her feel bad, if I had put into, how can I help you? You need to maybe have things less stressful, try some different foods. Man, having someone on your team, that alone makes a huge difference in the relationship. And then I got 2 more tips. Number 5, choose to be Mr. Consistent with whatever version of her shows up. And we talked about the moods, and it's it's a lot of fun. It's gnarly to go through. I'm not gonna, that's the real deal. Sometimes she's angry, sometimes she's exhausted, sometimes she's frustrated, sometimes she's thankful, sometimes she's sad, or sometimes she's like, it's all your fault.
And it's not about you, right?
Yeah, and you realize it's like, man, if her hormones are going nuts, it makes sense that someone is going through this. So it's like, you know what, person that I love so much, I'm not going to judge you because you're going through this roller coaster of emotions. I'm going to Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Yeah.
I'm going to come alongside and help.
Yeah.
And, sorry.
No.
I just, remembered, how rough I was on her, and, I had to have a time of, kind of forgiving myself for, some of the pain that I put her through. Excuse me. And, so, it's a small thing for me to kind of suck it up and go, you know what, hon? You can go through what you're going through. I'm going to be there for you. And my final tip. Excuse me, I did not think it was going to get so emotional.
No, please, don't worry. Thank you.
My final tip was... okay. The final tip was, know that it's possible to get her health and her life back. Because you know what? Like I said, I have read a lot of stories where folks just didn't make it. They didn't have the resources. They didn't have a guy's guide to Hashimoto's. They just go, you're acting crazy. This is not the same, this is not what I signed up for. Goodbye. And it's like, oh my God. But when you get it, when you realize what's really going on, and you hear the stories of hope, that, you know what, you can pull it out of the fire with your relationship. You can work together. And you know that there's hope. I mean, I've been married, it's 27 years now. And we've gone through some intense stuff. Some of it's just your standard relationship stuff, and a lot of it was this Hashimoto's, which obviously affects every other area. But we were able to do it. What was so cool is we got back from a trip from Italy, right? We took the whole family. It was kind of a rough time, and we're like, you know what, we're going to go. And my wife was not at a place in her health where that was even possible. So when we went, it was such kind of a celebration that she had gotten healthy enough to do this, and it was great for our whole family to be together and do it. So that's tip number six. Tip number 6 is hope. Know that it's possible for her to get her health and life back.
Yeah.
And there is hope. And you know what? My kids are happier. My wife is healthier and more energy, and she's helping people, right? She's counseling folks. She's writing her next book and just out there making a difference. And so that's what I want to leave with you guys. If you're a husband or wife who's going through this, it's like, okay, I've been there. It may be, you need to buckle up. It may be a longer trip, but you can do it. And, work through it together. And you can get back to a place of health, fun, and peace.
Wow. What a beautiful inspiration. I mean, just to know that somebody has your back, it's like a whole other world for us. We can, actually not having to worry about, what your family thinks or what they're going through, while you're going through, and that's crazy making right there. So to have that is like you're giving her an anchor, that she can relax on and then take care of herself. And now you're a team. That's what I hear through all of this. You're doing this and you're a team, and this is how you're going to get through this.
Exactly. I never knew that it could be this good. And that, aside from the health issues, just working together. Exactly right. The partnership. It's brought a relationship closer together. So that is kind of the, I want to say the happy ending, but, it's ongoing. We still work through stuff, but I'm very thankful. And that's the hope I want, like I said, I want to leave with folks. You can do it.
Yes. And I know my friend Steve read your book, and he told me when he finished that if he only had known this before, he learned so much. And he lived with me, so he learned so much through your book. I want you to know that you're offering people a lot, and thank you for opening your life like this and sharing yourself so deeply.
You're welcome. If I can, and that's what I wanted, right? I want the relationships to be strong. I want folks to work through it together and get to health, and that affects their relationship, their families, and out.
Yes, so I want to tell the audience that your book is coming out in about a week or so on Amazon. Do you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the Guy's Guide to Hashimoto's, and it'll be available on Amazon on paperback, and I have an ebook version that's at my site as well. It's available now. It's just my website's marriedtohashimotos.com, and really all the details are there. And if you kind of want to you can sign up, and I've got some those tips that I talked about, that can help folks. If you you go there and you sign up, I will send those to you, and that can be something, for you and your partner to kind of share and talk about.
Oh, wonderful. So what do they need to do for this, Rock?
Oh, yeah. So just go to marriedtohashimotos.com, married, the word T-O, Hashimotos.com, and you'll see on the left there's like a sign-up form, I think. You just click on it, put your email in there, and we'll get those tips emailed over to you, and just also let you know what we're up to and give updates and such, just for encouragement.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. you need some help along the journey, I blog regularly. We just had a funny Thanksgiving post, which you can go check on that too. So it's just, we just keep it real and kind of want to share what our journey is like and encourage other folks. So yeah, go to marriedtohashimotos.com.
What a family. Oh my God, what a team. And I want to see if the audience has questions for you, Rock, okay? Should we open the line? Okay.
That'd be awesome.
All right.
Hey, this is Naman. I'm just going to go into Q&A mode, so just hang tight.
Naman is the awesome tech.
All right, folks, if you have a question, just hit *6. That'll give you a prompt, and then you can hit 1 to put your question. All right, we have one question from Prem. Give us 1 second. Go ahead, Prem.
Hey, Naman, thank you. Hey, Rock, it's such an inspirational to hear you talk about, how you are passing through life with a partner whom you love very evidently. It just shows out. Thank you for sharing that. It was very good. The question I have is on the other side, right? So here am I with Hashimoto's, and I have a wife and kids. And have you seen the other side of it? Like, how do I communicate out? Right? It's hey, I have this problem. Sometimes I am bad sometimes, but what does this mean in terms of me? Have you seen the other side of things?
Right. So this is where the husband has Hashimoto's, right?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Now that is more unique. I know because more women have Hashimoto's than men, but yes, on that side of things, it's a lot of the similar dynamics. I think though, as far as men, I mean, let's face it, women generally are more nurturing than guys. I hate to go to a stereotype, but it's true. They often it's we're kind of the yin and yang to each other, and while men are very good at the task and they're kind of stoic, and the women, this is where I think it works in your favor, in that your wife, assuming that she knows what's going on and understands it. I mean, there's another great partner. She's a great partner and can support you there. Interesting dynamics in that situation. But I mean, you tell me, how's your wife handled this? Does she understand what you're going through?
She's the best caring person, but she doesn't know much about Hashimoto's and things like that. So for me, right, it's more of hey, sit down and get educated. And we're for example, right, we are more of a traditional house where she does the cooking. So when it means I have to go gluten-free, it's literally, right, I can't eat I can't eat unless she makes it for me and things like that. So it's a change for her, and so it's more of education than anything else. The care part is definitely there, but a lot of education on the side.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think in that case, I mean, as long as she's on board, I mean, here's what is helpful. I mean, because I don't know, culturally, I mean, where are you from?
I'm from India.
Okay. Sometimes it's helpful in these kind of conversations because, for example, I'll give a quick example. My wife, she's Italian, and she's used to pastas and stuff, and so for her to not make something that had gluten in it, it blew her mind. And so, in your case where you're having to say, I need something that's gluten free, that could be a challenge for her. But if she's game to do it, if she knows the why, and that really is it. You're talking about education. If she's kind of tied to it, well, this is the way I've always done it, maybe from a traditional sense, then maybe what you can do is use an example that's a third party example outside of your family and say, for someone who maybe had for example, a peanut allergy, even if I liked cooking with peanuts, I would never give that to that person because that would, could cause some serious health issues for them. And the whole idea with that example is to help her to see, oh, wow, oh, okay, this is how serious that is for you. And part of that's education, but I would do that. I would say, here's an article on gluten that you need to know about and what it does. It's like an allergen to my body. And, share some stories that way in a gentle way. You know your wife best, but that will kind of help the transition to gluten-free, which is obviously going to help you.
Thank you, Rock. Yeah, I just started down this journey, so we're still going through this.
Well, hang in there, and I appreciate you sharing. That is, it's unique. I've actually heard too where sometimes you have a husband and a wife who both have Hashimoto's. That's a little more rare, but my goodness, just blessings on you as you're working through this. Hang in there. You can do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks so much, Prem and Rock. That was really insightful. All right. Anyone else have questions? Just hit #6 on your phones, and I think followed by 1, and I will see your hand being raised on the call.
In the meantime, yes. In the meantime, just let us know. Can you hear me, Naman? Am I on?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. If anybody has a question, just raise your hands, and in the meantime, we'll just speak a little more. You said something very important about education, and I really think it's the essential piece here, because I really understood the impact that gluten had in my body when somebody really explained to me and gave me a visual. And until then, I really didn't get what it really, what was the chain of reaction in my body. Why did I have to stop gluten? And so educating your spouse is super important about, what happens in your body when you eat it. Oh
my goodness. And can I tell you, Fabienne, and I just want to give a shout out to you, Fabienne, and Pearl at Hashimoto's Awareness, because your guys' website, as I was putting together stuff for my book, I got to say, your guys' website, hashimotosawareness.org, was awesome. As a matter of fact, I've quoted some of it in the book because it really condensed it. Yeah. And so I'd encourage you guys, that gentleman who was just on, if you have his wife check out that site, just the kind of descriptions of the different levels of Hashimoto's and what can happen. It was so nice to have something kind of compact and in one place. And then you guys have a great community too. So good job with what you guys are doing.
We appreciate that. It's good to know. Well, we'll continue. We are actually revamping our entire website, and at the end of the month we should have it all finished. So we're very excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Hey guys, just wanted to jump in real quick. This is Naman. I misspoke earlier. The prompt to raise your hand is *6, not #6. So it's *6, and then followed by a 1. Apologies again. We'll
no problem.
See if anyone raises their hand.
And so until another question comes in, we can continue to speak.
All right. All right. We got one person. Alana.
Great.
Has a question.
Great.
All right.
One second. All right, Alana, go ahead.
Thank you for sharing. It's very interesting. You're the first. That other man was the first man I've ever heard say they had Hashi's.
Yes.
And because usually it's 9 out of 10 women. My question is, you mentioned music. What type of music are you and your wife involved in?
Oh my goodness. Well, over the years, so I think we said it earlier, right? I play saxophone and I sing, and my wife plays piano and sings as well. And so what kind of music? My goodness. Back in the beginning, and we used to play we were in a band called Music 4-2. And we basically played a lot of lounges, and so we played sophisticated pop. back in the 80s, it was like, ooh, Sade. And, we have a lot of fun playing and doing that kind of jazzy pop and rock type thing going on. But then later on, oh my gosh. And then we did, I think we got involved in playing at some different, some churches as well. And we had a long stint doing that. And so, my goodness. Yeah, we played pretty much everything. I've played more weddings and Christmas parties than I care to admit to, but yeah, that's what we've been, that's what we do now. And now we get to sing with our kids, and that's a lot of fun too. They play music.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for the question. Yeah, we make beautiful music together now.
I love that. And what about humor? You and Stacy use a lot of humor, right? Am I correct? Yeah.
And that really is because, Hashimoto's can be just like a big old drag. It can just suck. Forgive my language.
Yes.
It's just like,
no, please, it does.
So, food you can't have, the places you can't go to, and it's like, oh my God. And so we try to make, humor is just so good for the body. And when we're talking about, like, you need one major thing that can help in a home that's gone through this is to reduce stress, right? So part of, you can do kind of the flip side of that, maybe cutting things out of your schedule, but hey, how about we add some fun? How about we add, like, maybe watching a funny movie or a comedian? And there are like studies done. I don't have it offhand, but what laughter does to, to your body physiologically. It's such an amazing positive influence. It's just like, I hear Stacy, and part of her loving herself is she will go and she'll put some, pull up some video and just watch like a comedy or a comedian. And I just hear her laughing, and oh my goodness, laughter is excellent medicine for your body, especially if you have an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
But yeah, we laugh a lot. And
I know, and I love that.
We put some videos together. We're in the process of putting some videos together as well, just to kind of help with, husbands and wives who are kind of going through this. I'm trying to keep them short and trying to lighten things up because, like I said, it can be just kind of a drag. And it helps pull people out of that place and open up about what they're going through.
Yes.
Okay, so we have one more question, if you have time for it.
Yeah, I think I probably need to go right up to the hour, Fabiana. I've got another thing going on. I'll hang as long as I can. I can probably go 5 or 10 over.
All right, caller, go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this worked. My question is trying to find the help that we need, that I need. I mean, there's so much information out there, and when you think you're finding some good information, you hear somebody else talking about it in a different way. It's just a hard road to get started on.
Yes, exactly. So the question really is, where do you get the information that's going to help me to get me to my health the fastest? Oh my God. And what's your name?
Tina.
Hi, Tina. Well, and that is kind of a loaded question. I mean,
exactly. That's the problem. It is very loaded.
Because everyone is kind of different and their body reacts differently. It is. We're all trying to get handles on this. There's a lot of talented, amazing people in this Hashimoto's medical community who we know a lot of, and they're trying to help. Isabella Wentz is one who kind of leaps to mind. Tatis Karazian is another gentleman, and there are other great players out there. But how do you get to it?
And I mean, I've listened to Dr. Amy Myers, for instance.
Yes.
Like I even flying out there, but she's so busy, she wouldn't have the time. Because because trying to find local doctors that at least to go through some tests and head you in the right direction. And I mean, I'm already doing all the diet things, but there's other stuff that it goes along with it, and a whole battery of things, and it's trying to find the help.
Thank you for asking that, because that was another part that I addressed, because it was so, as you know, it's so freaking confusing. It's just like, oh my gosh. And so aside from food, which is, I like, Stacey and I like to put that out there because it's an easy thing to try that can make a significant difference in your life. You know, it's like, you know, you could go and pay like for a bunch of medications and treatments, but it's like, you know what? How about we just start with, you know, and I use gluten because that's an easy one that folks would jump to. If you remove that from, you know, try it for a couple weeks and see how you feel. That's an easy and quick way. My wife, she felt within a couple weeks, she felt amazing. She had her energy back. She found that her sex drive came back, clarity of thought. You know, happy me. But you know, not everybody that works, you know, gluten-free may or may not help, but it's an easy one to start with.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of information out there. My
Sorting
goodness.
food is very hard.
Well, I mean, and I would break it apart. I'm not specifically a doctor, obviously, but there are a lot of I want to say like stools. You think of a stool, the legs of a stool, and then that kind of support your health. You've got your the medical portion. You know, your level of your thyroid. That's an obvious one. If it's too low, it's going to make it. You're going to be wiped out. So that's one. But then it could be, you know, food. That's another leg. Then you've got your lifestyle. What if you're a stressed out basket case? You know, you could be doing a lot of good things,
right,
but can be undermining a lot of it. That's another leg of it. And then there's, you know, my gosh, there's rest. There's relationships. It's, you know, and then what you're doing exercise wise, or there's a lot of. Like I said, I wish it were just this one pill thing. You kind of need to look at all these areas of your life, and I kind of recommend having a journal, because it's going to be a journey of discovery. You know, let's say you're going to try gluten. See how you do on that for 2, 3, 4 weeks. That's one, and then you go, well, maybe I'm going to try yoga to help relax. I've heard amazing things on what that does. That my wife. It helps her center. It gives her much more peace. Helps her kind of get out of her head, which is busy, and she's got, you know, tons of thoughts zooming around, and that helps her to calm down and be more present to her body and how she's feeling, because there can sometimes be a disconnect there. That's another piece. So I think like having a journal where you write these things down, you know, aside from your thyroid levels, but how's my stress today? What were my symptoms today? You know, what helped this week? And that's where the husbands can kind of help too. You know, you guys have, or, you know, your partner, you sit down maybe one time a week and go, hey, how did we do? You know, did this help? How did this doctor do? How did we do? How's your food doing? How are you feeling? What worked? What didn't work? So that's a long way to kind of come back to that. Unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, but it can be complicated.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to go long. But eventually, some of these things start falling into place, and you get to a place of like, oh, yes, I feel normal again. And that's what a lot of people want, just that feeling of health and energy again. But you're right. Thank you for that question. There's just so many resources out there.
Yeah.
You need to find, here it is, you need to kind of find what works for you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care.
And we're coming to an end, but I wanted to say also that the team at Hashimoto's Awareness Organization is always there for you to take your phone call. You can leave a message if we don't answer the phone, and we will call you back. And, you know, for a small donation, we can give you a consultation as well. You're not alone out there. We are absolutely here to support you. And and Mickey Trescott said something really important at the last meetup. she said if you're really looking for a doctor in your area that can support you, look for the pharmacy that do compound pharmacy, and usually they will connect you with someone that they deal with. That's a good way to find someone. Yeah.
Thank you, Fabienne. I forgot about that part. Because someone you can partner with, right? Sometimes, and we mentioned it briefly, but the traditional medical community, it's just sometimes they can just think it's just this one way. And so I've unfortunately have talked to women who have tried this one way for like years and have felt awful for years because they had faith in their doctor. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have faith in our doctor, but the important part there is to listen to your body and your intuition. If I feel horrible and I can't think straight, and I faithfully tried this, I gave it a go, you maybe need to try something else. And that's where some of the alternative community, the alternative treatments, really can help. There's more than just one supplement you can take. There's more than one, view on treatments. So that's a very important point, finding someone who can partner with you. Because honestly, me as a guy, I'm working. I'm not a pro with this. I mean, I can help, I can support my wife, but yes, having a medical professional who cares and is a part of the team, super valuable.
Yes. Well, it's 8 o'clock. It's been a delightful hour with everybody. Thank you for your beautiful questions. Rock, thank you for your time, for who you are in the world. We can't wait to have your book out there on Amazon next week. And again, you want to say again where they can find your information if they haven't heard before?
Yes. So you can find me. My website is www.married2Hashimoto's. And you can just search me up. I'm Rock Robbins, R-O-C-K. And then, if you're interested kind of from my wife's perspective, maybe you want to hear more about her story. She's Stacey Robbins, and that's Stacey with an E-Y, so S-T-A-C-E-Y, Robbins, ROBBINS.com. So we're
wonderful.
Like the dynamic Hashimoto's duo, trying to help folks out.
Yes, that's why we're here. And stay tuned. Thank you for joining us tonight. Stay tuned for our next meetup. And next month we will have Amy Myers. We were just talking about her.
She's awesome.
I know.
And Fabienne, thank you so much for what you and Pearl are doing with Hashimoto's awareness. You guys rock.
Thank you.
And I'm excited
so much.
how we're going to help folks.
Yes, it's just the beginning.
Yes.
We're here to help you. Big hug, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.
Ciao. All righty. Good night.